one meeting. Hey, Jeff.
Sorry.
The planning commission for Webster Township to order. If you're all willing and able, please stand and recite the pledge of allegiance with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending, public. In front of you is an agenda for tonight's meeting. Does anybody have any additions, corrections for the agenda?
Other than what we discussed.
I would probably recommend somebody else to
Right.
chair
Right.
comments.
Yep. Okay, somebody else.
To amend the agenda to add chair comments.
We had agreed at
A new number 6.
November meeting to add that.
A new number 6. So that'll be number 6, like it is on the board, following the same order. And we'll renumber from 7 down.
Didn't we say chair comments and then also comments of the planning, of the commissioners or something?
We were ambivalent on that.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think we,
Just the chair.
we talked about it,
Mhm.
but I think we only agreed on for now the chair.
Okay,
We did, it was only the chair.
okay. So new 6?
A new 6. Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
The old business is an introduction to the small solar. Now, it was a discussion item before, but it's never been a business item. So shouldn't that be a new item and not an old item?
Yeah.
We talked about it so much, I didn't.
Yeah, the only place I could find it was November, and it was a discussion
Should
item.
It was a
Enjoy it.
discussion item.
And then, should both of those amendments start with 26 instead of 25 for their amendment number?
26.
Sure, I can update my records. I was just going with what I have in my spreadsheet, but we're officially making it a new business starting in 26, so.
Okay.
So they should be 26.
Yes.
So-
01 and 02?
So what's the change? Which one is A and which one is B then, under new business?
Small solar,
A?
A.
Thank you.
B would be large solar.
Both old business?
No, the new, both new business.
Wait, but is large solar a discussion item or a business item?
You go down as a business item.
You have done the new business, and it is.
So no old business tonight,
No
is
business.
that correct?
This goes
And
here.
then the small solar becomes A and the large solar becomes B.
Right.
And then we're also changing the ZTA file numbers. So the small solar would be 26 ZTA01,
Right.
large solar would be 26 ZTA02.
Yep.
I'll update my spreadsheet.
No good then?
Is there anything on data centers, based on what I saw
Not yet.
last night?
Not yet.
Not yet,
The,
okay.
the board is allowed to do that. We are not allowed to come up with that as a topic. They have, if there is a moratorium, the board has to do that, not
Right.
us.
But there was
Yeah, it
something
comes-
about a memo from us on the agenda.
It's incorrect. It was taken out of the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing nothing else, we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended and corrected.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, team. Also in our packet for tonight are the minutes from our December 17 meeting. Any additions or corrections or deletions from those minutes? Okay.
Could we ask for a focus, especially from Shri, on number 12, X11E? So we weren't sure whether the people to be on the working team with the ZBA were named? Like, did we say the secretary? We weren't sure, and we couldn't hear the recording. We said Rick, for sure.
Right, and then I suggested the ZBA secretary to be on the committee because, he does the decision forms and
So you did say that?
I did say, yeah.
Okay,
I did make a recommendation that Joe would be a good one to be on the team.
okay. And Tom, you also said that? Tom,
I
no,
believe-
Tom Neal asked to be on the team.
Yes,
True?
but I have not had confirmation of that yet, so I don't know.
But we're just trying to make sure
Right.
the minutes are correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can add that as a discussion item, or
Pardon me?
we can add that as a discussion item. I have,
Well, it's now the ZBA's hands, isn't it?
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
It's in the ZBA's hands.
Oh, they talked about it. Joe agreed to be on the,
Okay, but then we don't have anything back from the ZBA yet. So we don't have a discussion item to have, but we don't have anything from them.
okay, I'll add it as an agenda item. The minutes are included, but I will add it as an
Okay.
item of the next meeting.
Anything else?
I have no correction. I wasn't here to correct nothing. But I do want to say to Martha and Kay, thank you for these minutes and that these, I'm going to call it hot topic. It's not really a hot topic, but for me not being here, it was very clear how this was written this time so that I can understand what was discussed at the meeting.
And I'd like to reiterate that Martha does the heavy lifting here, so thank you,
I just won't
Martha.
talk.
Mhm.
Okay.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second,
Second.
from Paul, discussion,
Who moved? Thank you.
board representative. You got to spread the wealth around a little bit, too.
I'm moving tonight.
Okay.
I seize the opportunity now.
Additional discussion? All in favor of the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, team. Minutes are approved as corrected. Public comment.
Chair, comment. You don't have no?
I'm sorry, new item on my old thing. I don't have any comments at this point. I'll have some informational items at the end. Thank you. Sorry.
Is it public comment time?
It is,
Peter Stevens, 7500 Trotters Lane. Just one quick comment on your business this evening. I'm just looking through the amendment for large solar energy systems. As far as I know, Public Act 233 by the state of Michigan still preempts local municipalities from regulating utility and large-scale solar or energy projects for that matter. Just might be something for this board to consider as they're having their discussion this evening. Second, on a much lighter note, I just want to reiterate again, I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I really appreciate the professionalism that everybody on this board shows in their duties to the township and to each other. Thank you very much.
thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to the zoning, planner and zoning administration report. Sri, anything on there that you'd like to call out?
I had a couple others, I just can't remember if they were, a couple of Parks and Rec had their meeting earlier this month, and we provided them with the draft master plan for the review. They provided some minor comments. We're going to revise it and then provide a cleaner copy for their review again in February meeting. The plan is hopefully the board will hold a public hearing and possible adoption either at their March or April meeting, depending on how the Parks meeting goes. One of the items that was discussed, I thought might be of planning commission interest, is placemaking strategy. Like finding places to display public arts or something that's, more Webster specific. They talked about it very briefly, and we're just gonna put a very high level reference to it in the parks master plan. They talked about it a little bit more, and then they said, do we want to expand on it? I suggested that placemaking is usually comes under master plan for land use, because that looks at, a larger picture of it. And then I said, why don't you guys place a reference to it in your master plan, and then when the planning commission updates it, they will make a reference to your parks master plan and expand on it from their master plan. So, just a quick update on that one. I did not forget, it's always on my list. I know planning commission has completed a public hearing and then made a recommendation to board regarding the amendment on accessory structures back in 2024. It's there. So I had a quick conversation with our attorney today, because now that the private road is coming to somewhat closure, I thought I just wanted to be ready with this amendment ready to go. So I checked in with our attorney to make sure they had a chance to review it. I asked them to place some special emphasis on two questions, attached versus detached ongoing conversation. And then the second emphasis would be to, I pointed out that we are introducing to allow sleeping in the detached accessory structures, and we wanted them to just take a look at it and provide us with more guidance on how we can make sure it doesn't, whether the ordinance is, tight with that intent. He's going to take a look at it, and once the comments are provided, I'll bring them back. I mean, he did indicate that because it's been almost over a year, if the planning commission want to just refresh their memories after they receive comments from the attorney, they can do that before you send it back to the planning commission. You don't have to technically do another public hearing, that was still valid, but just to refresh.
You mean before we send it to the board?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really good idea,
Yeah.
given it's a year and a half.
You wouldn't be making any changes, it
No.
would be more just refreshing your memory and understanding what the attorney said.
And we have that,
More like an
rules
FYI and
anyways,
one
like,
discussion.
let's see this before the board sees it, kind of stuff. So, yep, thank you. That'd be
So
great.
that was another update. These things happened after I put the ZA report, so that's why I'm updating you. The last meeting, the planning commission asked for a little bit more guidance from the township board regarding what is the purpose and the intent of the public nuisance amendment with regards to lighting standards. And before I take it back to the board, I thought maybe we take a pause and just try to figure out what questions I want to ask the board so that they can give you better direction. So what I proposed is potentially a meeting with the resident who made the request to amend the nuisance ordinance, and then our planning commission chair and me, so that we can formulate the questions we want to ask the board so that they can give us better guidance. I haven't scheduled that one yet, but quick update.
Do you think that'll make them, do you think that'll be before our February meeting?
I think we can make it, it should be pretty straightforward.
As long as the snow doesn't kill us.
But I will be at the board meeting on February 17th to answer any questions if they have.
But you'll be at our meeting.
Yeah, I'll be at
Okay.
Yes, I do. Don't tell anybody.
Don't let them
I know who I am,
But this is kind of falls under board update as well, but since I'm talking, I'll just go with the flow. The board did talk briefly about minutes policy, a little bit, and then they all left with a note to each other saying, let's look at the policy and see if there are any changes you would like to see in it. And then I suggested that when they are looking at it, not at the meeting because I didn't get a chance, but I sent a follow-up email, to address two things. One, the minute policy applies to all committees and commissions across the township, and one size fits all may not apply in certain cases, to look at it in that perspective and see what do they expect from a minutes perspective from different boards, the level of detail.
Sri, along that same topic, did they talk at all about training, or updating training?
Not for, I think the requirement for training is each commission's individual bylaw requirements.
But I mean, the reason I ask is this. We have in our bylaws 4 hours a year of something, whether it's staying on top of legislative topics or whatever. And having sat, I've been at a couple ZBA meetings and nearly all of the board meetings, I went and looked, and I don't think there's a requirement that anybody else stay up to date
No.
on what's going on. And it occurs to me that if I'm in a job at this township, and my job is to say, this is good, and this is bad, and the last time we were trained was in 1956, how do you know what the current state, besides what's in our zoning packet and ordinances, how do you know what the current law is that you are offering an opinion on? And how would you recommend, if somebody like me wants to recommend to either the ZBA or the board, do I say to Jeff tonight, would you please take
Well,
this to board?
so
Do a public comment.
it was talked about.
I was gonna say, are we moving on? Cause,
Yeah,
Okay,
or is
board
this
report?
discussion?
No, I was following up on her
Yeah.
talk about that.
So there was some discussion on
Okay,
this.
well, let's wait till the board report then.
Well, it's not in the board report per se, but there was and has been discussion on this, as far as, people getting training, and the ZBA is a prime example that came up, and not just ZBA, I mean, anybody that is on a committee, that, I think we can dictate that those committees have that, I think that's something the board can do, but unless we pass a resolution for ourselves to take it, and I don't even know if that's, I don't even know if that's, would work or not,
It came
because,
from Mike making that recommendation to the ZBA last night that they take that Michigan State course.
yeah.
And I get it. That makes sense.
The ZBA already talked about it at their last meeting in December, a housekeeping meeting, and then they agreed to add that to their bylaws when they're reviewing their bylaws next month for
Okay,
an amendment.
okay.
And then also, I know they don't have a requirement, but they did have a training for me and the attorneys last year to talk about their roles and responsibility. And there was a training scheduled to talk about text interpretation at their last meeting, but I was homesick, but I joined the meeting, listened to the whole meeting. And then the whole meeting was about minutes, so we didn't get time to do the training at all. But the slides were ready to go.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the update.
I just had one more, then I'm done. Kate brought up the point about data centers. I did talk to Tom about that a little bit. There was included as a discussion item or communication at the last meeting, but we never really actually talked about it. So maybe it may be worth a minor discussion when we do talk about the large scale solar.
It's a totally different topic.
It's a totally different thing, but just in terms of if we're going to recommend that the board address a moratorium while we do the amendments, it might be good to do the moratorium for both data centers and solar. If the recommendation to the board from PC included both, would be a better.
I would couch it more as, new and increasing uses.
Right.
Large-scale solar and then data centers. But our actions could be totally different.
Yeah,
So
actually,
we
should be
need to
totally
talk
different.
about
Yeah. There would be two separate topics, just for the sole purpose of if you're going to ask board to put a moratorium, in that request for moratorium to consider both large scale and data centers, but you can then separate those two and then they can have their own individual discussion.
Right.
Yeah, maybe see how our discussion goes tonight.
Right.
Mhm.
I think I'm done.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, Jan 28th, special board meeting, private roads. There will be, the board has given me 30 minutes to give a quick presentation. So the presentation will be followed up by question and answer, town hall kind of, each member will get 3 minutes and 2 questions.
What's that date again?
Jan 28th.
Next
My
Wednesday.
wife's birthday. I may or may not be.
Bring her.
Yeah, come up with these meetings, what happened tonight, I can just can't explain it.
It might have been our anniversary.
I know.
Yeah,
You wanna go for a movie and then,
And our meeting,
okay, I'm done.
it's at
or
7
on
o'clock.
her birthday,
Sri, it's at 7 o'clock.
7?
Yes,
the meeting.
7.
Thank you.
So,
Yes,
public,
public, yes.
Excuse me, I'm just adding it to my calendar so I don't take her out to dinner and forget.
Oops. Oh,
I
I'll be worried if you bring her here and forget
Need to
dinner.
have wife's birthday dinner and forget that.
Yeah.
When we're off the record, I'll tell you what I did for our first birthday present. It was not a good idea.
Okay.
Well, I'm a guy, you know, when I was acting,
Oh, sorry, one more. This is it, one more. So we did have a meeting with the Historical Society board members, Dita Albert and our very own Rick Kleinsmith and Martha Zeeb, along with our chair and the supervisor, so that we can talk to Dita about what's missing in the application, why it is incomplete, what more needs to be included in the application to make it complete, and also to understand what request the Historic Society has in mind, and to recommend how to break those requests so that we can, tackle them at bite-sized pieces. I think the meeting went well, right? We all came out of the meeting with things to do. We all have our own marching orders.
So does that mean you'll meet again?
I hope not.
Okay, or they'll come back?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the next step would be, I owe them an estimate for fees and escrow so that they can figure out what to do with that. And Dita has the spreadsheet, and then we went over all the application requirements, the site plan, and the lighting issues, and she's going to put a packet together and then bring it back to me for me to review for completeness.
So she can just call you if she has questions?
Right.
Have all of you, do you remember seeing the spreadsheet that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was some question about what to put in what cells.
Yeah.
You know, Dita was reading it like, well, I don't know if it's gonna be 15 or 30 people. It's like, put a range in, just
Yeah.
pick something. So we think she sort of got it, and she's gonna bring it back. Anything else?
I'll wait till the end of the meeting if I remember it.
Okay,
I have 2 questions
yes.
for Sri. One, when we did the master plan for the whole township, there was a period of 6 months. So after the draft was approved by the planning commission and the board, there was like a number of days where it was out there for public comment. And doesn't that happen with the
Oh,
Parks
yes.
master plan
That's
also?
why, so that's why the public hearing would be April to account for that 60 days.
So the board would say, yes, we accept the draft, let's start the public comment, right? Okay, thank you.
And this is the park back here.
Yeah,
Yeah, behind.
Okay.
yeah. And then my other question is, so even back in 2001, when George and I went to the MTA conference, we learned things about the minutes for planning commission meetings, and then when we went again, that are not mentioned in our minutes policy. So I really like this idea. The things we're learning, the things you learned at the conference you went to, are not reflected in our minutes policy. So who's going to work on this, and is there some way we can give suggestions, or is that,
Send them
Not
to me
needed?
because I have my own list of suggestions. that I'm
Okay.
trying to put-
well, you've heard our suggestions
Yeah,
from our meeting, so you have those on your list?
for the minutes policy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I'll run, once I'm done, I'll share it with you.
Thank you. That's it.
Do you have a timeline roughly on that?
No, I don't think they had a timeline. They just said, let's look into it, and I'm like, yes.
Okay.
Oh, I actually had one more comment. You know, the MTA does have a training session on minutes, and it's more directed toward board minutes, not all the other things. But it might be worth looking to see if they have, because that's where we learned about all these things that we're supposed to put in the planning commission minutes, is at the MTA meeting. So maybe they have some training too, for people who become secretary or recording secretary or whatever.
I will look up their list.
Thank you.
Okay, Kate.
Yes.
Is there anything on the enforcement report that anybody wants to talk about? I don't know what there is to talk about, because anything else? I mean, loose animal seems to be a common topic. No matter where you drive around the township, there's a dog here, there's a pig there.
I haven't seen Teddy the pig in a long time.
Well, we just got done with Christmas dinner.
Horrible.
So seeing nothing there, we'll move on to the township board report. Mr. Board Representative.
Okay, it was a lively evening. The highlights.
And we, by the way, in your package, you do not have the most current agenda.
No, we do not. Let's see. Stuff that would be of interest. So the public nuisance amendment for the keeping of animals, that finally was passed. There was only one change to that, and that was one of the paragraphs talked about farm animal noise. And farm was taken out. It was in there twice. We just figured animal noise is animal noise was the thing. So that was taken out, but that was the only change. Otherwise it passed. We had a discussion about the timeliness of minutes, and specifically to the ZBA November and December minutes, due to the one was appeal, and it was handled a little differently than normal, so it was delayed. And how we can't really do that, we've got to follow some specifics. But it was having to deal with minutes, which is interesting. You brought up minutes, and there's a...
And we have a policy that
Yes,
says the
and-
timing.
Well, and we have a policy. One of the things that was discussed with is we have other policies, but it doesn't seem like when anybody takes a board position that they're or a committee position, that they're necessarily given the policies. So one of the big things that came up last night was, for instance, the social media stuff. I mean, there's a policy, but has everybody seen it? And that's the thing, like, anybody that's on a committee, if you're expected to follow any of these, it helps if you're given them. So, maybe it's one of those things, like starting a new job, there's a day one package or something like that. But there was discussion about that if there's these policies, and there was one for this, and that was exactly what came up as far as people, if they don't know about it, they can't follow it. So, dealing with that, getting those policies together and getting them to everybody that has missed them, has not been given.
Is there a plan to get them distributed?
There wasn't anything that came out last night. It's something that needs to be followed up on.
I would suggest at the beginning of every year, having every group talk about, here are the policies that we should have. Does everybody have them or not? And then get them to people.
And it sort of gets to how do you stay on top of the law if something's changed mid-year on one of those policies, and you come into one of our commissions mid-year, you don't know that.
Yeah.
And that's
Every
been
year.
one of the challenges, like trying to find that data. Where is it stored? And under what auspice is it stored? Is there, and I can't answer this because I haven't looked into it, but is there just one big book? Is there some that are digital and some that are paper? You know, what's the last rendition of what was done? There's some housekeeping that's got to be done to solidify what all those are and how we can get to them.
I think Elena has
She's got to work on it.
compiled them. I think we at least have a place on the server where all the policies are. And I think she's also trying to catch up with the resolution when the policy was adopted and the actual policy document in the hard copy.
Yeah. So as we've been doing it, we've been finding policies that people didn't even know existed. I mean, if it was done 4 years ago or 6 years ago, and there's a change of the guard, people may not even know it exists. So, getting on top of that, there was discussion about the use of the attorney. There was supposed to be a resolution that was not in our packets, so that one got postponed. Specifically to talk about that, it's just the cost of the attorneys and people accessing them and why has been a concern. There's been a thing of we don't want, I guess, just rampant people calling. I don't want to say rampant because it's not the right word, but everybody calling about an issue or asking an attorney to do something and in regards to like expensive stuff. I want an interpretation of this, so it's going to take 2 or 3 hours or more to actually do something that they can give us an official thing on. And we have multiple attorneys right now. So it could go to different attorneys for the same thing. So we need some coordination. We need to talk about who has access, under what conditions. We don't want to limit people's access because obviously people need to talk to the attorney, like for zoning issues, or if we're dealing with our codes, or the same thing with ZBA. The intent is not to stop people from doing that. It's just to say, where are our costs coming in, and are they all warranted or not, that kind of thing.
So there was a resolution in the board packet about attorneys, but that was not adopted then?
That was a different one.
That was a different one?
So
Okay. The one you discussed was totally different.
Right.
Thank you.
There was 2, and the one wasn't included that was asked to be included. There was a second resolution that was talking about the supervision of the zoning administrator. That was also supposed to be in the packet, was not included. That one was, there's kind of an ad hoc thing that was put in place for that right now, which is a board member being in charge of 3, which is me. And that's just for the next month. So, what's that?
That's worth it, just
yeah. But anyways, that's just an interim period until that resolution. And part of that was 2 months ago when the issues came about in the township with regards to some of the zoning stuff and the ZBA. There was questions with regards to that and how it was handled. And basically, there were some concerns about it. So we're looking at how that process is and basically how it should be handled in the future. There was supposed to be some resolution on that since then, and it has not gotten to that point. So that's why this was passed without actually a resolution. It was just this is going to be the interim thing. Resolution should come one way or the other next month.
And enforcement also?
Enforcement, there was discussion about enforcement and no specifics with regards to that. And it doesn't appear, I talked to Chuck today actually, it doesn't appear that there was really an issue with enforcement. So I don't know what the discussion was about, as I said last time. So the enforcement was originally in that supervision of zoning administrator enforcement. Enforcement is where it is. That was taken out of the thought of that resolution. So I don't even know why they were really treated as the same. But in any case, that the enforcement part was taken out. Let's see. There was talk about an approval for a bid for mold remediation. I don't know how many of you know this, but these windows have been leaking for some time, and they've been sending water into the walls. So there was mold detected in there. It was tested. It's not toxic black mold, but it has caused some wood and stuff to rot. So basically, new windows are going to be put in, and we're going to have possibly new framing in here. Depends on how bad the rot was on some of it. They don't know until they take all that out. And just saying that because we may be disturbed in our meetings when this goes on. I don't know how fast they're gonna go. Does that sound about right, Rick?
One of them are gonna take 3 or 4 weeks to get.
Yeah, just ordering though. We don't know how long to, and they can strip it down before that, but, let's see. It did pass for the referral of the land division stuff. That will be, there, you should be getting an official request from the board for that.
No, a copy of the approved minutes.
That works either way, some kind of official notification. And specifically, that's on there, what it is. So, and I can lend a little bit. Some of that came out from the ZBA thing with the language, we talked about it. It's the language of the 4-to-1, how that's handled. There was discussion about how the 4-to-1 is measured, because concern that it's measured from the frontage, as opposed, and what do you do if you've got like a triangle or some not rectangle shape? And also with the land division stuff, and that's literally, I say land division, it's
Boundary adjustment.
boundary adjustment. So if you've got one property that is going to absorb property next to it, right now there's not really much restriction on what lots shapes can happen. And so that's for your consideration, or our consideration as well.
So the state just changed the land division rules, right? For the first 10 acres instead of 4?
So that one is
10?
just a calculation to determine how many splits can happen. That doesn't affect, I mean, it does. No.
You can have 10 lots in the first 10 acres instead of 4, so shouldn't we include that?
We don't have that included when it was 4, because that calculation was always done by Bill administratively when he gets a request, because it's not, the number is not through the land division ordinance. But I can run it by Bill and see if you would like to see that in the land division ordinance.
So I think, and then my question would be, if our ordinance says 2-acre minimum lots and dividing 10 by 10 creates a 1-acre lot, who wins, the state or us?
Us, because
Okay.
our ordinance, the land division ordinance does refer to the zoning ordinance for minimum acreage requirements.
Then it makes sense not to put it in, because it would just be confusing.
Right, and then also that number is not just a single calculation. That number changes depending on if you have areas you're preserving on the property, then you get more splits. And if it's over a certain range, you get more splits, and it depends on when was the last split made. So there's a lot of multiple layers of calculations, so that's why it's not in the ordinance. Bill does a
Thank you.
spreadsheet.
Thank you for that clarification.
So the thing that's coming to the board, that was a good summary, Jeff, not much to add, just rephrasing for emphasis.
She's hijacking. Right, you see how this is?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were buying we were at the topic. I thought
It's 5 minutes per report, and
okay,
combine your way of.
go ahead,
I know.
go ahead, I'll join later.
Okay, we can talk about that stuff.
I will say this about that, on this webinar I attended today, the MTA attorney was clear that although there are state ordinances and laws in place, that we are in charge of taking care of our own church here, and should not, and cannot be overridden by the state.
Except for the,
Well, except for.
yeah,
Well,
the one that got out front of us,
But,
PA 233.
Yeah.
yeah, but when it comes to land divisions and stuff like that, our ordinances supersede state.
Right, right, if we're stricter, we can't be more lenient, but we can be stricter.
Not on all standards. The state law indicates you can be stricter for these standards.
Right, I know, jump in there.
Yeah, there she goes again.
Clarification,
We're
it's a
gonna talk
subject
about
matter
this tomorrow.
clarification.
Are you catching all this to put in the minutes?
Okay, and the last thing really was, there is the town hall meeting on the 28th, and we talked about the rules of format, and that's where we were saying 3 minutes per and whatnot. So there was some, I thought it's a noble effort. There was some comments about limiting that to 9 o'clock. And all of us agreed we'd love to be done at 9 o'clock, but with public comments going beyond that, there's not a lot you can do. So that about it.
Cream Donuts, we can have a recess.
That's-
Anything else for Jeff? Thank you, everybody. ZBA report, Greg.
Well, we had a very interesting meeting on it as well. We were presented with 2 sets of minutes. Martha, as you know, does the minutes of the, also at the ZBA level. And according to our minutes policy, they have to be turned in with 8 days. And Martha sends them to Joe with Patterson, which is our secretary of the zoning board of appeals. And normally he makes his changes or whatever, but approves them and then sends them back to Martha. Well, he never did. He sent them on to the township. The township turned around and sent them on to the lawyer. Now this lawyer ends up, I mean, it costs us $2,000 to have the lawyers even look at it. They never got back to the township until the 11th of December, or of January.
Fourth of December.
December. Anyway, way late, December was. So anyway, at the meeting, we got 2 sets of minutes. The zoning board of appeals got both Mar's set and Joe's set. Well, when Joe sent the one into the township, the whole thing was red. And he's clarifying stuff, and when you can't really, you can't change what people say. And in my opinion, the lawyer doesn't have much is supposed to change things either, because he doesn't know what it said, but that's another issue. So anyway, at the board that night, they voted and decided to deal with Joe's minutes. And it was quite a long, I mean, this meeting went, just approving minutes went to, what was it, 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Just approving.
That's all we did.
Oh, the decision form too. That took an hour, the decision forms.
Oh, yeah, then they come up with a decision form, and we had a new lawyer there. That's never been there before. And we got into quite a discussion about the decision form. And this decision form, normally, we vote on in the minutes and decide, the reason why we pass on one thing or another, so we figure that's good, but, we got this decision form to sign. And now this lawyer says, we're doing that all wrong. I says, we've been doing it this way for how many years? And we've had 2 lawyers at all our meetings, and nobody up until this time has said anything that we're doing it wrong. So we had a little bit of a discussion. And so we had to go through the decision form and read all the word, make sure the wording is all right, and that took another quite a while. So that got done. But, so anyway, some of this stuff from this hearing that we had in November, the issue is going to come back to this board. And basically it's the 4-to-1 ratio situation. And when we get into it,
We'll talk about it when it happens.
Yeah.
So, that's what we did. Go ahead.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Only after you're done.
3 minutes or
I
5
just
minutes?
wanted to offer a couple of clarifications. It's just, so the delay, I think one of the other conversations I've asked the board to look into, or I wanted to look into what, ask Kyle who was at the meeting, because I took a lot of questions and notes. And the thing is, the minutes policy does say 8 days. At the same time, the secretary, not the recording secretary, but the secretary, like for a planning commission situation, Kay would be the official submitter of the minutes. And so when there's a conflict between the time that the minutes need to be made available and who needs to make available, there's not much of clarity, and that's what created the whole confusion with ZBA. Are we going to stick with the 8-day deadline? Are we taking, what precedes what? Who's responsible for providing the minutes versus, are they, like, in this particular situation, Martha's always good at turning her around, doing her job, checking the box within 3 days once the meeting is done. So she did her part.
I thought it was a state law. I mean, I thought it was part of the Planning and Zoning Act, the 8 days.
Well,
We didn't just make it up.
No, we didn't make it up. What I'm saying is, the state law says 8 days, but it also says the maker of the submission is recording secretary's responsibility, and then that's what happened with ZBA, that Martha did her job within 8 days, but then by the time Joe was able to review and got back around, it was past 8 days, and then the question that was never was a question was prompted for the first time. Okay, we don't have a set of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes, one from Martha and one from Joe, that are not exactly, they're saying the same thing but in a very different way, you know. So there was a confusion, so we went to Jean as a tiebreaker and asked Jean, this is the situation, what do you want us to do? And then Jean's like, I don't want to address this. I would like the township to get me an opinion from the attorney. That's why there were both sets of minutes were sent to the attorney based on the ZBA chair's request that, you know, okay, here we are. This is the timeline. This is what happened. What do we do from here? While the attorney is doing all that, Mike reached out to another attorney for an opinion. They gave us another opinion, which is not entirely different from the ZBA attorney's opinion, but then just has a different way of approaching the situation. And that's why we have a 2.5-hour meeting, because we're trying to figure out, what do we do?
So an improved policy would be a good idea.
That's my takeaway from the whole
And you
meeting.
noticed the lawyer policy.
Lawyer policy, because it would have been nicer if we just stuck with one attorney to get opinions, because at the last meeting, we were dealing with 2 sets of minutes and 2 sets of opinions, and then trying to find a resolution. So I do have a lot of questions for the attorney, so that I can bring that back to the board when they update the minute policy, so that we are consistent and everybody's aware of the deadlines.
When you ask the attorney,
Would you please use
oh, I hate that
I'm
thing.
kidding.
We are doing it for you,
Can
Martha.
you hear yourself?
Ask the attorney if when I send it to the secretary, if he's supposed to give it to the township or if he's supposed to send it back to me.
Yes, I will.
Find
And
out.
I will. And I think Joe was also very apologetic at the meeting that he didn't mean to.
He wasn't apologetic enough because he did it again.
Okay, I won't get into that. I wasn't there. But I will check out. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is in this whole mess and 3-hour long of meeting, I had a long list of questions, and I see an opportunity to address those by updating minute policy so that we are not in that situation again.
the other issue is that this was done, the meeting was in November. At our meeting in December, they chose not to approve the minutes. Well, they're supposed to be approved at the next regular meeting, and they didn't get approved. So according to rules, they're automatically approved.
That's what our minutes policy
That
says.
was-
If
yeah,
you don't
but
do it at the next meeting, it's automatically approved.
In ZBA's defense, for a lot of reasons, we ended up having no attorney at the meeting who could have told us, don't postpone them.
Just a quick question for you that are secretaries. Is it 8 days or 8 business days?
8 business days.
Business days. And does that, so I guess that question is, does that take into account we have 4-day work weeks and
That means
holidays?
Friday is still part of the 8 days.
Friday is still part of the 8 days.
So the lawyers are working on Friday.
Okay. All right.
So, opportunity for improvement, that's what I was focusing on.
thank you. Anything else from the ZBA? Any questions for Rick that have not been asked? Okay, moving on. PDR report, which looks like a list of stuff,
It's an agenda.
an agenda. Does anybody want to talk about anything that's on this agenda? Is there anybody who can provide any insight on what's on this?
I couldn't get hold of a copy of the minutes, so I thought I'd just include the agenda at least.
So there was a meeting?
Hmm?
There was a meeting?
There was a meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
I think the minutes were probably not ready by the time I put the packet, so I just put
Gotcha.
it.
I'm going to ask a question again.
Mhm.
So if we're doing 8 days, this meeting was on December 8th.
Yeah.
They had a meeting in January too, didn't they? I think they did.
This agenda's from December 8th?
But they did have a January meeting.
Again, meeting policy.
Oh, was there?
Minutes
Or was
policy.
it January meeting also?
I don't know. I don't
It
track
was
PDR
on the
much.
website. There
Okay.
was a January meeting.
You can add that to your list of like.
Right, I think once we update our minute policy, I'm gonna make sure every chair and whoever does the minutes for every commission out there has a copy of it.
Okey dokey. So no report is the answer.
Yep.
Kate, do you have anything you would like to say from the Natural Features Committee?
Yes, sir. 3 things. First, the website content. Remember, we're developing content for the natural features section of the website. And I just want to highlight that Dan Brown, whose day job is with the Huron River Watershed Council, has agreed, the board approved him to be another year as a member of our committee. And he has been the primary contributor to helping us get started with each topic and figure out what to say and what links. So we have greatly benefited from his expertise in the first 2 years of our Natural Features Committee, and we're ecstatic that we have 1 more year. We don't know how long it will last, right? He's doing this outside of his normal working time. Then the other thing is, well, that was 2 things. No, 3. Okay, we're preparing to have a photo contest. Just solicit photos, a few, to put on that Natural Features website. So we're working on organizing what that'll be. And then the last thing is,
Can I ask a question about that photo?
yeah,
What do they get besides their photo on our website?
Credits.
so far that's it, but we have to talk about it. They'll get credited. So
Okay.
we're talking about that. Some people think they should get something else, some people think credit is enough.
I wanted to do that for Barnes and Webster when I first started. Every
There
time
you
I
go.
go by, I see a green one, a red one, so many pretty bonds.
Stand in the stream, take a picture of the fish.
So the last thing is about the community grant. So we finally got a notice out there, so we put it on the website about how we, Webster Township, got the grant to do the native pocket gardens. I sent it by email, and it's on the township website. And in the Washtenaw County Conservation District, I think they send this out a couple times a year. They acknowledge all the 4 winners, including us. So, and again, we don't get money, we just get expertise and services. So that's it.
Is that acknowledgement posted on the site or promoted, aside from that magazine?
It's promoted on their site, the Washtenaw County Conservation District, under the Community Habitat Grant. They list every year the winners, and we're in there.
But I mean, could we have a link on our site to get you there so that our residents know what we're doing? Right now,
So we
if
put our own
nobody
announcement.
reads our minutes, they're not gonna know about that.
Yes, well, they're gonna know that we put on our own township website an announcement that we got this.
Okay.
And I send it to all of you.
Right, no, I get that.
So right now,
I'm just
the
trying to
township doesn't
understand.
typically link to somebody else's website, but we did put an announcement there.
Okay.
So,
If you want, you can scan and attach it to the announcement.
so let me talk to the natural features, because we thought it was good that we said, it's like our press release from the township, we got this.
That makes sense.
It's like third-party verification of it. It's like, you know,
Mhm.
the state gave you a grant. We say we got a grant. Sort of self-serving, but if they say we got a grant, it's like, oh, it's really legit.
So So maybe what we could do is, like, if we have an announcement, we could also include a link to theirs, just with our announcement,
Yeah,
right?
That's,
So that,
Yeah, that's
so
what I
that
was
we
thinking.
don't do something separate for them.
Right,
Okay. We'll talk next
Congratulations.
Monday.
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be at a dinner or anything, and they're gonna give you a meal or?
No, they're guiding us to dig in the dirt and plant plants out there. We provide the effort, they provide the guidance.
Are they bringing donuts?
No dinners.
No dinner, no donuts or dinner.
Maybe we need snacks, that's a good idea.
Any questions for our National Features Committee? Thank you, Kate, appreciate the update. Now, that being said, being whatever time it is officially, 7:55, I'd like to open a public hearing concerning section 915 rural residential districts. Basically, it's FAR versus, for non-conforming lots versus the other measurements that we have used over the years. So, the purpose of this is to align those two measurements. You know, we have looked at this many, many times. Sri, would you like to say anything in addition to that?
No, I think we had a good discussion about what the purpose and the intent, and then the planning commission has agreed on the purpose which is included in the memo. That's the purpose of this amendment. What's happening is essentially for R1 non-conforming lots that are less than 1 acre, which are not part of site condos, the FAR value,
It was 30%, not 20, to align with the other districts.
we've reduced, we took away the provision that gives additional lot coverage for non-conforming lots. So the lot coverage for non-conforming lots is 20%, same as regular lots. It used to be 30, we brought it down to 20.
Right.
No special provisions for non-conforming lots.
Public hearing, would anybody in the public like to make a comment? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 10:56. May I have a motion? There's a draft motion on page 2 at the top, if anybody would like to read that motion.
I move in the matter of 25 ZTA 04, I move to recommend that the Township Board adopt the proposed text amendment to section 9.15 of Article 9 of the Webster Township zoning ordinance. This motion is based on the draft presented at tonight's meeting. The purpose of this amendment is to align the FAR and LC values for non-conforming lots in the R1 district.
Second.
Okay, go ahead, your second. Discussion? I would like to have LC spelled out in that, because if the board doesn't know what LC means, they could ask the question, lot coverage, and then it opens the discussion at the board level.
Maybe
So-
both of them then,
Both.
define both
Both
of
FAR
the
and-
abbreviations.
Yeah,
Yeah, good point.
in that motion. Again, we know because we've been working on it, we send it to the board, they're not blind, but they're ignorant just by virtue of not knowing what those abbreviations are.
So Cass, the maker of the motion, you accept that recommendation, right?
So I accept the modification to define those two abbreviations.
Define or spell them out.
Spell them out.
Spell them out.
Yes. Thank you.
Still good.
I'm good.
Discussion. Any more discussion? Roll call vote, Rick?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, commissioners, for your work on that topic.
So just a quick question. When we amended the agenda, did we move small scale first in your business or last?
Yes.
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 Okay, then we have to go to page 51.
Thank you.
Good Slide presentation.
No, not for that.
No,
You've got these TVs now, come on.
I know. I like to. Tom, do you want, I know, you usually give us an introduction before I go.
I do. This has come up on a couple different levels. You remember that the ZBA had a request for us to look at this because there was no direction that we have on ground-mounted solar. And it's broken into two different parts that we're getting to. One is small scale because of a couple different topics. There was a question of screening, location, setbacks, all that kind of stuff. So that's where this small scale came from, which is separate from large scale, which is the one that our friendly state and other townships and cities are looking at. So with that, as it says here, you know, and we've talked about before how we align this with our master plan. And right now, there is nothing in the master plan that actually addresses this.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean,
It says we want solar.
but it doesn't address the specifics of small scale versus large scale.
I believe it does.
That,
It does.
that's in my memo. The
So-
key points are excerpts from master plan verbatim.
So it's in the master plan, but then we need to make sure that our zoning ordinance
It aligns with the master plan.
aligns.
Guidance.
Yeah.
It's guidance in the master.
It's a strategic plan, the
Right.
master plan, it's high level.
Right, and that's why we're looking at this way. So, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, this has gone to the lawyer, and the comments are here, or those your
No,
comments?
this is the first time I'm introducing this to you.
Okay,
So this is just your first look at a potential draft recommendation. So I think, are you done? Oh, should I take over?
yeah,
Okay. So the master plan does, I'm just reading this out here, master plan explicitly encourages small-scale on-site energy generation such as solar power, providing clear guidance on screening and on administration facilities, the reasonable implementation of that goal is what I'm relying on for this one. So the proposed draft is not adding any new standards except 3. Everything else is just trying to keep the language less legalese and easy to understand. The new standards that are proposed for your consideration is one, requiring a follow-up site inspection. As I mentioned, we asked for planting the trees, and then page 52. Right there. And then standards of review for allowing ground-mounted solar system in front yards, and standards of review for planning commission waivers. So these 3 standards are not making it more restrictive. It's the idea is to make it more accessible so that they don't have to go to ZBA to get a variance from screening requirements and then follow the stricter variance standards. Instead, they can come to the planning commission and have a little bit more subjective consideration of waiver request. So that was the main goal of this. With that, I included 2 sets of amendments, one which has comments and gives you a context why the change has been proposed, and then also gives you a reference of that standard where it is in the current ordinance. And then I have a clean copy for you to go over to see if you have any changes. To start off, to identify, right off the bat, to say small solar energy systems are only permitted as accessory. I started proposing revising the title itself, calling accessory small solar energy systems. And then we're not calling it a use, the current language calls it a use, we're calling it a structure.
So what is that change? Did we say, I can't tell what is changed. What did we say before? Here it says accessory small solar
It
systems.
says small solar energy systems before.
It just says small, okay,
Right.
thank you. Thank you, I get it
Emphasis
now.
on accessory, what do you say?
Accessory.
Accessory.
That.
I didn't think that.
Wait, you spend months on accessory inspections. You
I
can't
know,
say
I
accessory.
always get confused. I should between an accessory and an accessory. I got it. So when I said the old standard is this, that doesn't mean I copied the language verbatim. I did simplify the language, but that's the basis for that standard. So the reference to the old standard is to indicate that we didn't change the standard, we just simplified the language, is what that is. Okay, so any questions on A?
Well, make a comment. So there are areas, I remember we asked this before when we had a document like this where we made significant changes.
Mhm.
We asked you to take the old document, which is in here, and do strike-throughs on it to show what we took out and explain why we took it out, and it doesn't show. So if I just read this, I don't know what's missing that we had before.
I did start off with that, but the strike-throughs are getting very confusing, so I thought, my hope was that you'll probably look at that, like, that was a copy of the clean standard as it exists, was also included on page 61, so my hope was that you put those aside. Because the strike-through was getting very confusing, because I did reorder a little bit, because to make sure all standards that's talking about screening are in one place, all standards that are talking about height are in one place. So there was a little bit of movement in the standards.
But it's not so easy for us either, then, to go from this to this.
So you're saying page 61 is the original
Yeah.
Yes.
document, but there is also elimination.
Right.
And
Yeah.
without you identifying what the elimination is, I have to look for it and compare it.
Every time.
I was following, I did this for the other one. So I thought you guys were okay with that change, so I was following the same pattern for this one. What was the last amendment we did?
You did do it this
Public
way.
nuisance.
Then we asked you to go and do what we're just talking about
Okay.
now, is to show us what was eliminated and not kept.
I will make an attempt for the next meeting to get you the strike-through, but there was a lot of movement around. If it gets confusing, we always have 4 copies to look at.
So the order that we really should be looking at this in is starting with page 61, which is the original.
I mean, if
Then
this
the
is confusing,
modified and strike-through, which isn't complete, on 53. And then the clean draft that you have starting on page 57 in the packet. That's the order, right?
I think we have to look
You've
at
identified
53
the right
first.
Yeah.
And then 61 to compare.
that's what I thought. But I think,
But it's
again, I mean, I can,
Right.
if it's confusing, I can make an attempt at doing a red line version. It was very confusing for me, but I can still make an attempt.
We should do the red line version.
We can come back to it for discussion, but just so I get some kind of a guidance, we can at least take a look at J, K, and L.
On the clean version or the?
54, either one. They're all, those are all new standards anyway, so it doesn't matter which.
So where are you jumping ahead? Because I had some questions about your comments too.
Oh, yeah, I'm
I
happy
know
to
that.
answer. I thought PC wasn't ready to discuss because we thought the red line version, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think for time, it would be better to wait for the red line version, then we can just go through it all, because right now we're gonna get comments, and you're gonna go into a red line version, and we're gonna go back and try to incorporate comments, plus the red line version. So my recommendation is, based on where we are, that we postpone this till the next meeting, where we get that red line version to look at all the pieces, and then make comments based on that.
Yeah. So should we have a team to work on this? So I have one question that I feel is burning. Okay. So now, when we wrote this was not true. But nowadays, people have batteries. And people who get solar systems, they have batteries that they can store the energy and use it later, or they use it as a backup generator. This was not true 5 years ago. Does our current system Does our current ordinance allow them to do that? And if not, maybe we need to look at, does it make sense? Because I know 3 people in Ann Arbor who have batteries with their solar systems. So I know you limited your updates, but should we at least consider that there might be something missing? Or would that be allowed under the current ordinance?
So the current ordinance, if we look at 54, item H, use of excess energy, we have that standard in the current ordinance, but it's just hidden in the definition section. So that one says the sale and distribution of excess available energy, if permitted to a public utility or other third party, shall be incidental to this type of system.
So you would approve it if they had a battery? Yeah, okay, then it's good. But that's not
But we
sale,
make it,
that's not sale to another entity. So
Yeah.
can you look at that also?
sure.
Yeah.
And I like the review team idea.
And should we have a review team? Because I have a couple other comments based on what we did before.
Right.
So,
I think you would, if Tom, I'm not sitting, I mean, since Kay is already working on the large scale solar, it might make sense to
Yeah.
have the same group who worked on the original solar system, that way we don't miss anything by accident, if, you know, what was
Are you
intended to.
okay serving both
Kay and
roles?
Paul, right?
I-
You were there?
I didn't know it was,
It was,
Andrea?
it was Andrea, but Paul was
That
on the
explains the
planning commission
reason.
and so was George. Yeah.
I'll be out of town, but that's the thing.
Hey, if it's not me doing it, I vote for it. Yeah. Sounds great.
So it's George,
No.
Paul,
No,
I would do it, yes, absolutely, because I've got it on my mind, right?
And then you're already working on large scale solar.
Do you want somebody else? Do we want a 3-person committee?
It's always good to have different perspectives.
Yeah, 3 is always a good number.
I know, we got a tiebreaker. Is anybody else willing to?
I'm fine, I'll do it.
All
Thank
good?
you, Paul.
Thank you.
So I got a quick question for Kay.
Yes, sir.
You have 3 friends that have batteries. I looked into solar at one time, and I wasn't gonna do it without batteries. And this was 5 or more years ago.
Yeah, we did
So it's
too.
been around for a while, but, batteries, even now, are horribly expensive. That's part of the problem. Like, you end up getting a $20,000 solar system, and it's $10,000 extra in batteries. It's huge. But your friends that have the batteries, where do they store them? Are they stored in an accessory structure by the things? They're not stored
So
in
they
the
have-
house?
They live in Ann Arbor, so they have roof-mounted solar, and they have an accessory structure with the batteries in it
Okay.
next to their home.
You can put them in your garage.
Yeah, which I would
You
think,
can put them into an outbuilding, if they're feeding from your outbuilding into the house.
I would think
They're
you gotta
supposed to
keep
be-
them heated is the
They're supposed to
thing.
be as close to the solar panel as possible, so
Yeah.
you don't lose transmission.
But by the nature of batteries, you don't want them really exposed to cold, so I would think they would have.
That's not what Tesla says.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm serious.
Have you ever driven a Tesla in the winter? The range is different.
If you've looked at Tesla's site, because they're one of the providers of those batteries, they contend with their battery that it doesn't lose any efficacy in cold weather.
Everything Elon Musk says.
I do too, he's going to Mars, might not be coming back, but he's going to Mars.
I'm ready to
That's
send him
pretty
right
deep.
now.
So we can look at whether it includes that.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're not.
Yeah.
Maybe yours, Rick, if you have.
So do we have a motion or an action or a request right now?
No, I don't need an official motion.
You got
So we need something to write
Oh,
down in the minutes.
okay. So the conclusion is, I'm going to work on a red line version to
That's a
bring
building
back
code thing. I have no-
at the next meeting. But before I do the red line version, we'll have a review team meeting to make sure what changes we want to put in.
Yeah.
So we'll have a review team meeting and a red line version.
And then
Next
present the
meeting.
red line version of the
The next
next PC meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that'll help us be a
And
little more
review
efficient
team.
in our
Kay and Paul.
bringing it here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
You need a motion in there?
No.
No, motion to, it's the business energy.
Oh, that's right, there's new business.
Oh.
Yeah, we do need a motion to new business.
said to a later meeting.
I'm just asking for clarification for the minutes,
That's right.
so when we look at the agenda for February, we don't put it on.
My subcommittee meetings.
We can still have it ready, we just don't have pressure.
TBD.
We can prioritize.
Right. Oh, did somebody second? I'm sorry. Julie seconded.
Julie seconded it.
He's already on.
See, I'm not seeing Kay over here, I'm looking over here, Kay, you're right there.
Tom, if I can be excused for just a second, I just want to go adjustment vote. I don't want to skip it.
Would you like a?
A lot of mints over there.
I do, but before I take a cough drop, I just want to clear the throat.
Yeah, she's doing Ricola. You get me sick.
I'm not sick, I just have it.
So we're at recess.
Yeah, I heard that.
We're recessed for a moment.
Sit next to her.
Right? I know.
That's why Julie moved
Yeah,
around.
we did, by the way, guys, we're taking a recess before we vote.
But we never defined it. Yeah.
We're what? We're taking a recess in the middle of a vote.
We moved from
Okay.
second.
I'm just saying.
I didn't approve the recess.
She
She left. You should have said no.
I
Vote.
can't
Okay,
take
go.
notice to read. Do we need her? Wait a minute, we don't need her to vote.
You don't.
No. Vote.
I'm voting on the motion to postpone.
Right.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Motion to move approved, thank you.
What, it's all done?
Yes?
Yeah, that was to postpone the meeting.
February.
Oh, great, pardon me. I'm feeling like a board member.
Oh. There.
What was the motion for?
That was good.
Postpone.
To
We're
postpone.
gonna postpone it.
I was like, are we done with lunch?
Just look at her, tell sheer energy. Oh my goodness.
Oh, good.
Okay. Item B, amendment introduction of 12.1.15 for large-scale systems, and Kay had brought this to us. So I'm going to let you speak to that.
First, I apologize. In writing my own proposal, I got distracted from my own main point, and therefore I had to make those red changes. Thank you to the people who questioned me about what I wrote, and I went, what? So, my basic proposal is to engage this particular legal counsel team, Bachmann-Thal, or some other legal authority who clearly has experience and detailed knowledge of current renewable energy ordinances. And the reason, I go back and I explain on the back page. So we go to these conferences, we learn things. There was a presentation by two,
Which back page, what number?
I'm under presentation and information from the October 29 and 30 MTA planning meeting.
What page in our package?
26.
26.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I have the
26.
revised one. So sorry.
Okay, thank you.
So they gave a presentation about renewable energy ordinances, and they talked about the state law, and they talked about, of course, general renewable energy, solar, and battery. So we know that PA 233 includes 3 options for approval of projects over 50 milliwatts? Megawatts. Through the Michigan Public Service Commission at the state, you can apply there. Through a CREO, which is a compatible renewable energy ordinance, that's where a local administration takes the state ordinance and says, we take that exactly as it is and we'll do your work for you. And then there's what's called a workable ordinance that a local government can have. And a developer can choose to say, okay, I'd like to follow your workable ordinance. So one thing that these lawyers pointed out, that in the year since PA 233 has been implemented, there have been 3 projects at the Michigan Public Service Commission for review, and as yet, 1 year later, none of them have been approved. Meanwhile, about 15 projects throughout the state have been approved using local workable ordinances. So he talked about the CREO, what is in the state, and then he also talked about workable ordinances. And he clearly had experience working with clients on these workable ordinances, and he identified like 9 or 10 things that you should make sure are in your workable ordinance. And these are listed on the end of that page. It starts like with soil testing before development begins as a baseline for later, removing footings. All of these things are protecting the community and protecting the township for when this facility is no longer needed or from nuisances. So my proposal, again, is to send this, so I thought, why not send it to them, these lawyers? They happen to also be the MTA council, and that's where I got off. But they have other clients. That's not why I'm suggesting them. So if we think Fahey, so when we did this, it was pretty new when we wrote this large-scale ordinance. If we think our current legal counsel has more experience, I would like to ask them, you know, can you provide us with a sample ordinance that you worked on with one of your clients? This would be something that's in the public domain because they worked with a particular township and they have a workable ordinance and what's in it. I'd also want to know how many workable ordinances have they worked on and who in their company is the specialist. Because I think this, just like any data center ordinance or large-scale solar, there's technical expertise as well as legal expertise. And we don't want them to just review what we have and comment on it. We want them to help us add important things. So I really want to be, I think it's important that we do this because of what we talked about. It's been 5 years, things have happened, our community supports solar, large-scale solar, and a lot of people, a lot of developers are using the workable ordinances.
Our community supports large scale?
It does, it's in our main, so we had two master plan questionnaires in 2014 and 2019, and in both cases there was a positive for solar, and in the 2019 one we specifically asked about large scale, and there was a large support. There was no support for wind, and when we investigated that we found that we don't have much wind around here anyway, so it doesn't matter, so we didn't write an ordinance for that. But there is support for large-scale solar in our community.
To your point about 5 years ago, people might not have understood it, including lawyers. I would suggest that the people who said they wanted large-scale solar 5 years ago didn't understand the impact.
If you look at the responses to the survey, I think maybe they did.
I don't think.
So, but why would we have this ordinance?
Well, let me ask this. Given the current state of our lawyer management, are we allowed to contact a lawyer?
A separate lawyer from what we have? This is something I think we should discuss.
Yeah.
Or we could question Fahey and really question their experience
the
and say,
question,
do they have
we
it?
need to go to them.
Yeah.
We can request that somebody talk to them.
Yeah.
This is not a foregone conclusion any longer.
Right, but we have an ordinance in our zoning ordinance. It's in the master plan. So my feeling, and we go to conferences to learn things, so we should consider whether we should strengthen our ordinance because it's been 5 years for large scale. So that's really the question for the planning commission. Then we can request the lawyer review. So I'm making a pitch for us to consider strengthening our large scale ordinance for these reasons.
Other comments, members?
So, in December, I needed some class time, right? So I took 2 courses that are online on exactly this, and they are very good. I encourage anybody here who hasn't taken them to take them. Just to put some of the numbers in perspective, I remember this, it was to get 1 megawatt of power, you need 10 acres of solar panels. So this minimum of 50 to be considered large scale requires 500 acres of property. If you've gone down 94, into Calhoun County, you see all the solar panels there? There's 8,000 acres in that township. The lawyers giving the presentation are lawyers for the township. There's 8,000 acres of solar panels. They've got 800 megawatts of power there. And they talked about the different ways to get this approved. They are using their own township ordinance because they got it approved. And like you said, there's 3 in the state that's not approved. So their township must have something that's workable. And it's in Calhoun, I can't recall the township, it's in Calhoun County. Regarding the Creo, they talked about that, and they said, here's what you want to understand about Creo. It's exactly what the state has, that you put into your ordinance. Now, when these go in, they said your township hall is going to be full of people who are against this. Would you rather the township be responsible for approving that with state requirements, or the state approving it with state requirements? That pretty much tells you you don't want Creo.
Right. I attended that same webinar.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And that's where my comment came about. Do you think these people in 2019 understood large scale? Because are we going to give up 800 acres or something to get enough wattage out of this to make it viable?
So you can do some kinds of farming, even if you have solar panels. You could do things underneath.
Drive around the township, you see 800 acres of
Well, fine, but they don't have to be,
contiguous.
right, but they have to go to the same power line.
Right.
So they can't be spaced, you have 200 acres here and 200 acres in the next town, Hamburg Township, because they can't go to the same power line. They have to be, they can be in 2 different properties, as long as they feed the same source that's feeding that power utility.
It'd be interesting to see what the breakdown is that we have open property that's not under PDR, not under parks, that is actually developable or usable for this too.
That's
If it-
it's
That's the same, it's really the same issue with data centers. And they require specific things that you need to have for them. And I don't even know if we have spots that would accommodate. So I'm
That's
curious.
exactly my,
Yeah,
So
I'm
if we
curious
don't,
if
then
that's
that would be a
the case.
reason for not having
Right.
it. If you think if we assess it and we don't have any spots for it, then we say, okay.
let
Well,
me ask
you need language, you need the language in your ordinance.
right.
Yeah.
There was also a thing, you remember the money that they got paid? There's a state, what's it called, a grant or money that for every, I can't,
Forget the numbers.
was it like $7,000 per megawatt
Something like that.
Yeah.
per
They make
year?
a lot of money.
Per year that they get from the county or the township, that would reduce everybody's taxes. It was in the, I believe, the general fund. So that's the big incentive over there. She said that township that has these really love that.
But just like the other stuff for solar, I wonder if there was federal incentives to install it because of clean energy, and I wonder if they've gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big rush for them, and now it seems like they're dropping off, and I'm wondering if that was the case.
The state still has its goals though for renewable energy, 2030, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
they do, but if they start taking budget cuts, they may not. I mean, that's the thing. I think the thing is, when we're talking about it going, they're talking about using a lawyer and stuff, that's a discussion. You can make a recommendation to the board and say, we're thinking we'd like to do this, how do you want to handle, do you want to use or consult with our attorneys or use the ones that are here? I think that's a discussion for them, especially with the attorney.
Case point, if we go to the board and we say, Fahey or whatever current lawyer you want to pick of the day, have them supply us with their list, expertise, whatever, so that we can make a decision and come back to you and say, these are the guys we want to work with, these are the guys who now we have a resource. But I think we owe it to the board, given the current situation in particular, to go that direction first.
Sure, I mean,
You know,
that's what we're discussing is
yeah.
what to do.
And the second thing is, whether it's research that Sri does with Bill, is to grab, we've got it in the overlay maps though, but he could probably hit it quicker than we can, is find out, to your point, what is currently available
land's map, so
So,
these are all
so
the parcels. Yeah.
well, we got it. The board would have to approve it to do it, so it would be on their agenda for next month. We can get it on the agenda.
You need to ask Bill to find out.
No, Bill's easy, it's the board. Because you have to do it collectively. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to check a couple of things before I spoke up, verify a few things. So the planning commission, we did talk about this conversation back in 2025, during the February meeting, where, I kind of summarized the 4 options that the seminars we attended talked about, the 1 and 3, and then PRIO and the workable, incompatible ordinance, and then compatible ordinance. At that time, I did reach out to our attorney to get their input on what their recommendation is with regards to the township. He asked me to put a summary of what the current ordinance regulates in terms of current large-scale solar systems, and then compare that with what the PA 233 asks, so that we can figure out what places are we more restrictive or less restrictive compared to PA.
No, but we're asking a different question. We're asking, do you have expertise in this area? It's like going to the Chevy dealer to get your Ford fixed. We want to make sure that they have enough expertise so that we're not spinning our wheels. If these other guys, Thrall or whatever their name is, Thrall,
Bachman Thrall?
yeah. If they've got expertise and they can draft an ordinance that they use someplace else, we do it like that. We're not spending 30 hours a week having.
Yeah, so we're talking about maybe adding some more to our existing working ordinance
Right.
to protect the community and the township. So the first question is, do we think that's a reasonable thing to do at this point? And then, should we seek out some legal?
Well, I think we do, even though the master plan, it's sort of a little bit this way, but if we've got the opportunity, I would rather have us protected and or prepared than get behind the 8 ball. Because as Paul said, the same thing, he just said it earlier, the same thing that's in that webinar. You want somebody at the state level to go, hey, you're ready to go, we got approval from the state, we're going in your backyard, here we go. Now, this gets to an earlier discussion. Do we also request, so that we have time to do this, the board put a moratorium on large-scale solar?
Oh, that was.
Well, in its current form, not our old ordinance, so that we have time to get these lawyers in line to do the map overlay, because if it doesn't happen in 30 or 60 days, I'm just concerned. I'd rather do the due diligence and have a working time frame or scope that we can do, rather than, oh my goodness, now we're up against the wall.
I was thinking moratorium would help, because the developer, if they found land and go, where they go, they go to the state for the approval. A moratorium would be meaningless. We just putting a moratorium against our own ordinance.
Well, the lawyer that I listened to on not this one, but the data centers one, that was also through MTA, the guy was from Iowa. And I think I sent slide things to all of you. He said, and they've got lots of these data centers, but he said, put the moratorium on the books. He said, if you could slow them down, it's better than having them walk over you. Even though we might lose, they suggest doing that in large-scale solar and
They said in large-scale solar.
and renewable energy, basically.
I think data centers, because data centers isn't centered on state law.
Right.
But large-scale solar is, and from how I understand it, they don't care what the township's got, they go straight to the state, the state approves it.
Yeah.
I think I didn't think of it before, but now that Paul was talking, it kind of hit me, yes. So large-scale solar system is tied with the state law, which can supersede. So I think moratorium may want to think about the data centers, it's not tied to a state law, so it's okay to create one for it. But if I may complete my previous thought, I know sometimes I take time because I'm also talking and thinking at the same time. So what I was trying to get to before was that our attorneys does have experience, because when I did talk to them in 2025, they also conducted some training sessions, and they also had some standard languages, but they also indicated that the MTA sample ordinance that's out there is really good. They usually use that as a base to help communities, frame it for the individual communities. But before we even go to the attorney's question, I think I heard some good suggestions. Trying to look at our existing inventory first. Is that, you want to do it first before we send it to board? Because if you're sending it to the board, what are we exactly asking the board to do?
So my proposal is that we have a workable ordinance. We aren't proposing to change it to a CREO, but at the MTA conference, they identified some things that if you have a workable ordinance should be in there. And as far as I can tell, they are not in ours.
Okay, I think that's
So
similar.
my proposal is to sort of strengthen our workable ordinance, because we already have it.
Rather than reinventing the wheel.
Rather than reinventing the wheel. Not go to a CREO, not go to that, just strengthen what we have. But I think it would be useful to know, how high a priority is this? Do we have any parcels that would even be of interest to do this?
So the interim step is to get the maps from Bill. Bring that to our next meeting, and then have you look at incorporating that language into our current draft. Is that what we're saying?
Well, what language? So the problem is, so he talked and I was writing madly just to get the key points. But the details aren't here. We need somebody else to tell. So rather than Tree or me or anybody else going out there to look for it, I want someone who's an expert, wherever they're from, a legal expert who can look at this list and say, oh yeah, we have wording for that. Oh yeah, we have wording for that. Oh, that means this. So that we have the experts do it, not us.
Do you think Fahey can look at that?
But before we involve attorneys, I just want to propose something for your consideration. Since we already have a review committee, do you want to take a look at that, frame our questions first? Look at the inventory provided by Bill, frame our questions? Because I think it would really help to first figure out what we want to ask before we start asking people, is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I propose something to ask, but I think a review team would be great.
So, has anybody read PA 233?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, is what's in there, just off the cusp, what's in there that is not agreeable, that you think we should add or should be included?
There's,
So,
I'm just curious if people have.
when the solar field pages out, there's no requirement for the developer to remove the structures.
Now, that one I've heard, and I can see
That's a
that
huge
as a
one.
thing.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
I believe it's huge too.
And the soil underneath.
Yeah, all the concrete down below.
So maybe we could get Shree's comparison again, because she compared the CREO with our ordinance, and it shows what we have that's not in the CREO. And then there's also this list of additional things that we don't have that we might want to consider. She did that comparison.
right, we do have stricter requirements with regards to screening and, vegetation under the panels and fencing requirements. The expiry date of ours, once you get the permits, is different. We have larger setbacks compared to what PA requires from lot lines, and then we do have minimum lot size for large solar systems. PA 233 doesn't have a minimum lot size. So ours is definitely more restrictive when it comes to large scale solar compared to PA 233. So I think, I'm totally on board with what Kay's trying to achieve, but I think we just need to figure out what the questions so that we can answer it and then say, yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Is that part of that working committee that you already have for small scale?
Are you willing to do that, Paul?
Yeah, it's fine.
Or is it something that we're gonna?
No, same.
In our current one, do we have removal?
No.
We don't.
We don't,
no.
But we do have that for small, right?
Yeah, we do, but not too specific exactly what we're expecting, but it just says to clear it up. So for the large scale, the current ordinance, we have site clearing standards. PA doesn't, but we do have. But it's only limited to the area necessary for construction, operation,
Yeah.
maintenance, not the entire site.
Yeah, that was the one issue that I heard that was a major one. Yeah, you get 1,000 acres of solar panels and then they leave it.
Yeah.
In Kay's packet, and I thought it was useful, there's that draft ordinance.
It's the Creo.
Creo.
It's not what we're, I'm not suggesting
I know
we have
that.
it.
No, just,
Yeah,
but it has some things in there
yeah.
that, to Sri's point,
Mhm.
we have defined differently than are defined here, so
Yeah.
it's got some nice points in it.
So, okay, just so we, for your minutes and for my own clarity, what we are suggesting is that the review committee will look at the existing inventory, the comparison of PA 233 and the current ordinance, and look at the Creo and identify what if there's a room for improvement, what kind of improvement, and then
Look at the Creo, but we're looking at improvements to our.
our ordinance,
Our
and we're going to
ordinance,
use Creo as a
yeah.
reference. We're not going to take all of in it, but as a
But there's also these other suggestions
suggestions,
for
yes.
improvements that
Room
are
for
not in the
improvement.
Creo either.
Could we
Okay.
also add
So
in-
I'll just say identify room for, opportunities for improvement.
That's it.
Oh,
The MTA
Right,
draft of the Creo that we
Right.
had is in your packet.
that's that one.
Right.
So I thought I.
They did
understood
not
you
give us a draft of
Oh.
a workable ordinance with
Oh,
all these things
okay.
in it. They
said-
did not.
I read that wrong. I misread
No,
it.
they
I
did
thought
not.
had it.
Okay, so we
But I want one.
we establish it with existing inventory, look at the comparison between PA 233 Act and the current ordinance, identify opportunities for room for improvement, and then, frame out questions.
Yeah, and,
Right.
yeah, then maybe we can also talk about, then that brings us to the priority
Right.
list too.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think we need a motion on this one, do we?
I mean, it is a business
Oh,
item,
it is a business
Oh, it
item,
is.
jeez. Yeah,
so we're postponing it until the review committee come back with
okay.
certain recommendations.
So who's making this one? George, you can make it. Yeah, record, so.
We're already on record. Let's, all right, let's move to postpone, the new business B, amendment introduction, section 12.115, large solar energy systems, which is now labeled as 26 ZTA 02, until the working group returns information to us.
Second.
Discussion. Okay.
Yeah, I
Aye.
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 There's so many people between us. I know, they're different people. Motion carries. Thank you, team. Good discussion. Next on our agenda are discussion items, the first of which is an ongoing text amendment and review. At the back, there's a chart that looks like this.
What page is
Page
that on?
65.
65,
Thank you.
along with the memorandum. No, wait, that's what it is.
just so you know, I sleep with that paper.
Pardon me?
What?
I'm just kidding. That I sleep with that paper.
Oh, sweet. Is there anything on here, this is for our edification?
Yeah, it's just like, I thought this might be just a good opportunity to take a look at it, because we are adding new items to the list, and we have some ongoing things, and we are also going to be working on the draft report and talking about priorities soon. So I just wanted to refresh your memory, this is where we are. So there's not much of a discussion or guidance I'm expecting, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
want to talk about it more before they make a motion and a recommendation to us for what they want from the revisions? Is that what I read in the minutes?
Oh, no, that was in reference to the non-conforming expansions, allowing administrative approvals to non-conforming expansions, structure expansions.
So it's not for the standards of review? Okay. So we have a ZBA request because there was a motion. So we have the minutes now and we
Right.
have yours. Okay, thank you.
They didn't make any official motion, but minutes kind of capture the
Yeah,
discussion.
it said it, yeah.
And at the last meeting, they are, Joe Pearson agreed to be part of the committee to help, with the language.
Another thing on that, anything else?
Under data centers, 9, do you want to mention battery storage units there also?
Right, I just put that as a placeholder. I think, I know we put that, but we never actually discussed this. Maybe we should also
Yeah,
place it as an item and then discuss
Discussion item.
and what we want to do.
yeah. And we can
You want to
add,
include it in as a general discussion or a separate line item?
I don't know what Shreve said.
Oh, like, just like the discussion we had for the large scale solar, do we want to make this amendment or not? I think the planning commission never asked that question and answered. If you guys want, if that's the intent, that question was never discussed and answered.
we discuss it at that future meeting, and then we can make a request or a recommendation to the board if we choose.
Oh, timing is perfect.
Need a snack.
Recess.
I think that would be great. We've shared comments about data centers, but we've never had a discussion.
Right.
You also want to discuss battery storage.
Along with
That's
that.
what I asked you.
So maybe that could be an item for next month's agenda, if we'll just have a general discussion.
So they're two separate things, but we could both discuss both of them.
Right,
Oh, wait,
but they're inextricably linked. Well, because now the large scale
So-
solar,
Large-scale solar is the battery one, so,
that's what I was,
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, look, stay,
so we should discuss that in our team.
team, yes,
First, the battery,
right.
and then put the data centers on a discussion agenda. Yeah.
Okay, so potential discussion of data centers at the next meeting session.
do we
But-
want discussion or do we want to ask the board for a moratorium from this meeting?
But before I think we can place it as a new business item, but you guys need to first address the question, do you guys want to pursue that amendment and why? And then we can ask the board for moratorium.
Yeah, we haven't discussed as a
No, I think
Those
that's-
questions-
whether we want to recommend or request. a
Right, the
moratorium.
why and how and when.
Yeah.
Again, my little brain is getting scared. I'm serious. I know we didn't add it to the agenda, but my little brain is concerned.
About,
Data
Data
centers.
centers.
I mentioned to some of you separately, it turns out that on a fairly regular basis, been having coffee with a supervisor from Freedom Township. I never knew, we were just sitting there a week ago Friday, and I said, oh, yeah, I got an apple orchard down here, and I got a barn. What do you like to do? And he goes, oh, I'm the supervisor of Freedom. It's like, oh, let's talk about data centers and large scale solar. And he goes, yes. They have put a moratorium already. Turns out also on Friday mornings, same group, no, Saturday mornings, I have coffee with a bunch of guys down in Saline. And they've been through it, you've seen it in the paper. Turns out one of them that I've been having coffee with happens to be on their planning commission down there. And I said, talk at me. And he goes, you put a moratorium on that as soon as you can. You may lose in court, but at least you have a stopgap measure. He said, the longer you wait, the more the door is open. And one of the things that I hadn't thought about, we've talked about it before, is water resources. And the discussion was, well, you have to be near a big water source, like if you're under, but they're drilling deep wells. So they're sucking from our aquifer. And that could easily happen here, because farmers are doing it already, and you're gonna suck the farmer's water right out, literally right out from under. And that's where my little brain goes, we need to nail this down. I wouldn't let it go past the next meeting at all.
Can we make it a business item discussion and a business item so that we can have an outcome? Because Lima Township did a moratorium.
Yes, they did.
I have a question. We keep talking about moratorium, so, okay, this handout you gave with this also fall and village guide. Okay, so on page 11 of that document, but anyway, under moratorium, it said, at a minimum, the moratorium should be adopted by ordinance, not resolution. It should specifically lay out, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. My question is, what does that mean? Adopted by ordinance. I know what resolution means, but by ordinance, what does that mean?
I don't have a copy of that article, so I don't know the entire context, but usually when you place a
You want
moratorium.
to read it right quick?
This was in our packet.
Okay,
It's a Q&A on data centers. In your packet. Like, probably the last thing in your packet.
It's that.
It doesn't have a page, it's in the,
which?
Everybody heard about moratorium by
It's that right here.
ordinance.
Did you find it? Where is it?
Yeah.
Is it page 11
It's in-
of
I'm sure it's
37 of 100?
No,
no, it's just a freestanding.
it's this guy right here.
Oh,
This
yes.
guy.
So who put that in there?
I
didn't.
Well,
was
okay, then I don't know who did.
That was, maybe that was Tom. But,
No, I
and so it's this one.
So it's that
Hello.
guy, yeah,
Somebody put this in.
yeah.
It wasn't me, this one.
So it's the next page.
I put this one in, the
Okay.
Lima.
It's in there somewhere. But the question
So,
is, like George is talking
Okay.
So usually when we do a moratorium on items, like when we did a moratorium on the private roads, accepting private road applications,
It's just in our mailbox.
we did it by a resolution, because at that point, we are not putting a moratorium on regulating or on a certain existing standard. We just said we won't accept applications. So a resolution doesn't require public notice or, the notice requirements. Resolution can be introduced and adopted at the same meeting. What they're suggesting is that if you are doing a moratorium with regards to data centers, maybe do it like an ordinance where you put a public notice out there and then adopt the moratorium with some backup ordinances. That doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. They're just saying that's probably a more safer way to do it.
The way this reads to me is that it's more legally binding to do it by ordinance versus resolution. So,
Yeah, it's a very general
so the
statement.
reason I'm asking this is because of the timeline potentially associated with this. We can't get, if we really think it's a priority to hurry up and get it done, we can't get the ordinance done that quickly, can we?
about. No.
No, I think they also ended the whole long, complicated answer with like, always check with your township legal counsel regarding how to properly distribute it. So our council may say a resolution might be okay, or you would have to go through an ordinance resolution. So that is definitely what they're suggesting is just don't do a resolution. Maybe an ordinance moratorium might make more sense, which is a longer process. So check with your attorney which is a better, serves the purpose. Whether
So
to
then
be-
my question, my follow-up question would be, is can you have a resolution that's a quick, immediate, but then, and then work on an ordinance for it if need be? So you got like two protectors there?
So what Lima Township did was moratorium by a resolution, not by ordinance. So it depends on how our individual ordinances,
But has it been challenged? That's the way this reads.
we don't know, they just got it.
Okay,
But it's like that statement, you go, hey, by the way.
that's right.
And that gives you the time, that's what they were talking about here. It gives you a 30, 60, whatever time frame you put on it, to work on it, so that you have something to protect you up front. So let me ask this. I realize So can we put it on our agenda? It'll give us time to look at them, engage the attorney, bring it to our next meeting as a priority item to take to the board. Does that work for everybody? Because we do need to do a little homework, and we're not gonna do it here at City of the Night.
But can Sri find out more about what this might mean?
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
ordinance, moratorium?
I'm very curious myself too, so yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think I agree putting it on the agenda. Just like you guys want something, when board sends you something, you want more clarity, it makes sense for us to discuss and have them in minutes before I go back to the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good discussion. Thank you.
Okay, back to the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
Line 3, the number has to change, the amendment number to 26 CTA 01.
Yeah, that's when I said I'll update mine.
And then number
Yeah.
6.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we'll get that updated. That's it.
yeah.
This is
Make
just
note of that.
this is an FYI document more than that. So you just want to make sure the CT numbers are correct, since one's 25 and now becomes 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had placeholders, I didn't order them yet.
So we can add our team members now that we have them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I love this overview, because then I feel like we won't forget.
Right.
We can't possibly do all these things right away, but we have an overview of what we think at some point we should talk about.
When we have time, we go and pick one from the basket.
Yeah.
Good question. Anything else on that topic, team? Okay, thank you. The next thing on the agenda that I have is 16B, which is land division ordinance. And I'm sure we're not prepared to go through that tonight.
Oh, yeah, I just included that as an FYI because that's exactly what the board got.
Right.
So I wanted you to be aware of what I asked the board.
So when we pick that up, should we form a team? I think that would be helpful.
Maybe one from the board, remember? I'm just looking
I
at you, I
already-
didn't say anything.
Right. Yeah, I have no problem.
Or anyone, anybody from, one from board member, one from the planning commission.
One from ZBA.
Well,
No.
I'm sincere in saying this. I know from talking to you that your workload is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else on the board? If we bring this up next month, is there anybody else on the board that we might engage?
Sure.
And I can think of a couple.
It's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, everybody on the board knows or should know what it is right now.
Well, it's been in front of them and kicked back to us, so.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you have in mind?
and the difficulties with it, that,
I actually, not trying to slow things down, but my thought is Brant.
I can work with that.
And the reason is that Brant tends to be very detail-oriented and doesn't tend to let things slip. It requires another meeting and another meeting and another meeting. And if Brant would be willing to do it, I think he would look at this and have clear thoughts up front. And if you're okay with that, am I allowed to call him, or do you want to engage him? How do you want to do that?
either way, either one works. Probably, I mean, you're the chair.
Right, well, I know, but I just want to make sure Mr. Board Member is okay.
You're the chair, I'm okay with it.
Everybody else okay with that?
So who's raised their hand at the PC level? I'm,
Martha did it.
I'll serve.
Great. I really feel like I don't know that much about it, so I
Right, I
struggle
don't
just
think
to
that's all I know.
understand it. So I really think that's great if other people talk about it and explain it.
Can do. Is there anything else in this packet of documents on this that we need to discuss?
no, I can just get a good summary.
Okay,
The questions that were underlined were answered, so you'll know their answers in the minutes.
gotcha.
And I'm just gonna pipe in, as far as the land division thing, especially the 4-to-1, I, and Rick could pipe up, but I know he believes I think it's pretty clear already, but the point is, you can always, to where it says any or all on there, all you gotta, on that part, it's pretty much just to say, including 10 acres and above. I mean, that brings it into alignment so that mistake won't happen again. But you're gonna have a little bit more work with regards to where are you gonna decide what the width, you know, the width is, where does it start, how does that work, and, you know, the one where you're changing property lines, that one's a little wonky.
We have a little bit of history, different but the same, on cul-de-sacs and setbacks
Yeah.
and lot lines.
Yep.
So it's not like we haven't talked about similar things before.
Rules of measurement.
Yep, yep,
So,
okay. Thank you, we'll get on that then. I'll talk to Grant, I'll let you know if he's willing to serve, and then we can set some meeting dates. Do we have anything else under discussion? We don't, that was added, correct? Next regular meeting agenda then.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Well, are we going to, we have definitely have data centers in some kind of discussion. I don't know that we're gonna be ready to
The draft?
Grant said yes, yeah,
The draft, oh, the draft annual
no,
report?
the land division.
No.
I didn't think so, but I put it on my list. And we talked about large and small scale solar, what do you guys think about that? Either of those?
I mean, we could probably have a review meeting before next meeting and provide an update about land
Under
division.
discussion items or old
You have all
business?
the revisions done.
For the small scale?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy. I think we can get small scale.
So maybe we can at least get a draft
Yeah,
for
we
the
can
small scale.
set some
Under-
meeting
under
next
old
week.
business. Under old business, right?
Yeah, if we could do next week, that'd be good.
Okay. Anything else?
Draft annual report.
Oh, well, you're gonna bring that up in a minute.
Elections.
Oh, yeah, we have to have elections,
In February or March?
February.
February.
I haven't seen any signs yet.
Yeah, no campaigning.
So with regard to the annual report, I've told Sri this is how I write. I get all the pieces of the puzzle, put them on a desk, and write from there. Right now, I'm missing a couple pieces. I got K's, good there.
It's just the attendance.
No, the tracking report though,
Oh,
because that's a critical.
oh, yes, okay, yes, I gave the master plan
Yeah.
implementation item track.
And I'm not pointing a finger at Sri, it's by virtue of the strangeness and timing of what we're doing. Her contract keeps getting extended month by month. So her year end is different than our year end. She and I talked the other day, she's gonna get me her report on action items in addition to what's here.
Okay.
So next week, I'll be writing, if anybody has anything that they think needs to be included, look over last year's and go, hey, Tom, by the way, don't forget this. I'm glad to get that into the hopper.
So does that mean you'll probably have a draft at the next meeting?
I will. And hopefully before, that I can send out to you guys to provide comment. And I can do that one at a time, so we're not having open meeting act at you. The other thing that came up, and it's regarding the master plan, it's nothing that we do here, but I had gone to John Sharp and asked him about the tracking of the last master plan costs. And there's no tracking. The reason is because in the lawyer's case, for example, everything for Giffords Webster is put into one pot for Gifford Webster. There's no line item that was tracked.
Oh, you meant Carlisle?
So back then it was parallel movement.
Giffords Webster, Gifford. Pick a lawyer, any lawyer.
Well, they're planners actually.
Okay. But the point is, whether it was the research, or the listening sessions, or the donuts, or whatever. And the guidance I was given was just look at last year's. I have printouts that provide no detail. They have the aggregate for that month's expenses by category, but not for the master plan. If it's okay with you, I would like to track that a little more closely, because I think we owe it to ourselves and the community to go, oh, we spent $5 or $50. I mean, and I don't mean penny stuff, but I mean, particularly what came to mind is we're engaging the lawyers again, above and beyond what they are doing on a daily basis. You guys okay with trying to keep track of that, and have me asking John to put that into the general ledger as a line item?
I'm wondering, so we asked Sri about, she doesn't have the bandwidth to do everything that she already does, plus the master plan. So we said, like Webster Township, for example, they have a planning and zoning person, and then they also have a consultant who works on the master plan.
Right.
So then, pretty much, once we start the master planning process, every charge we have to them, to Carla, whoever the planner is,
Right.
whoever the planner is gonna be about the master plan.
We hope so.
So, and we can note if something
Right.
isn't, but it should be, I mean, the idea is that they're the special projects team,
Right.
right? And that whatever they're doing, whether it's looking at new land uses, because we might want to talk about that in the master plan, or whether it's actually doing and something else on the master plan, that's what it's gonna be.
Sure.
So if we can get permission to hire a planner to help with the master plan, then that's what it's gonna be, all those costs.
Well, yes.
So, I think, that's just the process. There is, the board puts out an RFP with the description, you would sort out professionals, you would pick one, and then they would help out.
But he was talking about tracking. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so
say
I'm trying to understand that.
that's what they're gonna do. And so
Right.
every charge for them is
See,
gonna be
last
that.
time Carla was doing other things for the township.
It's true, last time they were doing, for part of the time, they were doing the zoning administrator job
Right.
and planner and the,
Master plan.
and the master plan.
Right.
And then before that, they were only doing the master plan, but we had a really limited contract.
Yeah.
So it's probably just not clear what was it, but I'm trying to say, I think this time, it will be pretty clear, and it'll be different buckets.
Right.
One for the planner and one for Sri,
And also,
that it's different.
And that's the thing that we're, on the board, that we want to see. If we can, especially with legal, like, what are the costs going towards? Don't give us a lump sum of so-and-so for so many hours. What was that for? And I get if there's legal context that they can't tell you that, that's one thing, but some stuff like reviewing ordinance, whatever.
Yeah, what's the deliverable?
Yeah, I mean, those kind of things, we're looking for more detail. And that's exactly it. It's like looking at somebody's, and I'm a person that's been saying that for years on the board of, okay, if you're asking for help, for instance, let's say we're not getting enough help in the office, and somebody else is helping do the work, well, how much of their job are they spending doing that? You know, because we have random, I don't want to say random, but we have a pool of hours for all of our deputies, but they might be using them for something else. And if we need somebody, let's say we've talked about scanning for a long time. Okay, well, if you're going to use a deputy for scanning, let us know how many hours that is, so we need to know, or if they're answering the phones or whatever. So those kind of things, it helps justify and pinpoint what those costs are. And trying to nail that down has been difficult, and I applaud trying to do it.
But if we hire a planner for the master plan, so I used to be a consultant, if we ask them to identify their deliverables, they should do that. They should mark it out, what they have delivered associated with the bill, so then we will have tracking.
We should hope so.
Yeah,
It was glommed all together last time.
yeah.
I understand we're in a different time.
So it's good to highlight it, but I think it won't be too hard this time.
Like for Parks and Rec, we said for $10,000, we will be attending these many meetings, and you'll get a draft, and on that. So this is really a dumb question, Tom, excuse me. You don't have to put that in the minutes.
Sure, yes, a dumb question.
Dumb question.
I I'm trying to understand how would tracking last year's cost estimates help?
Last year's 5 years ago.
Right, how would that help now? I'm not able to
I want to,
connect the dots there.
I am a manager. Forget it's this. I've got a department. And somebody comes to me and they go, hey, Tom, we need to make iPhones. Last time you made iPhones was 10 years ago. How do I compare those costs? How do I know estimated hours versus actual hours were spent on a topic? How do I know what research? How do I know? So I don't have any basis from which to go, yeah, that makes sense. Is it, oh, we're gonna spend $100,000. I'm fine with that. Do I challenge that? Because it was 50,000 before and it's doubled? And as the chair, I think it's my responsibility to understand how we're spending the township's money.
Well, and when we're looking at budgetary reasons, unless we have, we can have the RFP and send all that out, but whether, if we have that information prior to our budget, it's fine, but if we don't, we have to guess. And that's what it's good for. It's good for guessing.
And there's no budget for it.
Yeah, and that's.
So somebody goes,
It could
oh,
be a
you're
big
spending
number.
all this money on lawyers' fees. Oh, it's that.
So if we have to guess,
You got this?
so Dexter
No,
Township
that's- I said no.
has
Don't put it in
had a
minutes.
planner for their master plan process. Couldn't we call Dexter Township and say, when your planner was working
Yes.
on the master plan process, how much per month or how much per year did it cost, as a guess?
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many times you can't get that information.
Oh, so they might not answer.
They may not have been tracking it like that. They may be in a
Oh, they
situation,
may be.
they may be in a situation like we were in
I
with.
don't know.
So then when we get the RFPs though, we'll get estimates from the companies.
But you need.
Unfortunately, we've got time. This is not like we need this by next month's meeting.
Yeah. But yeah, you can get references.
But if we're gonna get it in the budget, so it sounds like we've given up getting it in the budget, or any
John
money?
said not to worry about it, comes out of general expense.
Okay, so
my
we're not
little
worried about the
brain-
budget.
John said that?
My little brain starts to wah, 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 wah.
Okay, he said not to worry about it, okay.
Thank you for engaging me.
No, but I mean, the budget is happening.
Yeah.
We don't know, and
We're
we're not gonna
working
be able to
on it
hire,
next
we're not
month.
gonna be able to hire somebody in the meantime.
So after the budget's approved, even though we aren't in it, we can propose, you know, a list of things we want them to do and request RFPs.
Well,
So,
is that something that should be on the board's agenda?
I think it's something that should be on the radar, at least. I mean, for discussion of, hey, do we need to include this now? I mean, when are we looking at, and the big question is, when are we looking at engaging?
yeah, when
Somebody
do we wanna
from
start
Master Plan.
planning?
Are we looking at in 20, I mean, should we start getting that data now? Or are we looking at next year? Or are we looking at, we're gonna start
The
this?
formal timeline is 2027.
To finish in
To finish
2027.
in 2027, so we would start this year.
Yeah, then yes, that discussion needs to happen and we need to talk.
We'll start this year, for 2027
Have to
completion?
complete
We
it
would
in
start
2020.
this year. So would it be helpful at some point for us to start talking about, well, what would we want them to do? And make a list of those things, or, so that
Yeah.
when the time comes, we've developed those ideas?
Yeah, and how soon do we want to send out the notice?
Yeah, and how soon do we want to begin the planning? You know, because we have to issue notices of, we're starting planning.
Yeah.
Just since we're talking about things on radar, so every 5 years, the Planning Act requires you to take a look at your master plan to see if an update is required. You don't have to do a comprehensive redo.
Correct.
So that also determines the scale of effort that goes into this one compared to the last one.
Well, that's the Carl, I work with, pick somebody.
Yeah.
Last time they did an audit, came through and went, you should look at this, this, and this. And since we moved along,
They did not.
I saw pieces that were presented that said, you should look at this, you should look at this. I don't know whether that was a formal audit.
Oh, that's the zoning ordinance on it.
Yeah.
But then we
That's
changed
not-
the word
that's
from
not
audit
the
to
master plan.
checkup.
Sorry.
That's not the master plan.
That's
No.
a zoning ordinance health checkup.
So my question is sort of a chicken and an egg. So we decide, after we said we were planning, the planning commission, we looked at other people's, master plans, and then we decided how big of an update did we want to do, basically. So we basically said, we're not going to reorganize it, we're just going to look at what's there. If anything needs to be removed, because it's not true anymore, we would remove it, and then we would update it specifically. So that's what we decided, but we didn't decide that till after we said, we're going to plan, right? It was part of the process. So yes, we can make a choice about how much of an update we do, but we made that choice after we made the decision to begin the process. It was all part of the process.
Are you recommending changing that order?
I don't think we can. I think it's part of the process.
Okay.
That's,
But we can estimate what we
COVID was a
want.
big deal of it, but they kind of go longer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it seems.
So they have really good costs.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
COVID was in there really messing with this.
Oh,
And I extended it a year, work on the master plan.
So maybe.
What extended it?
COVID.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Everybody had lots of time.
But wait,
Yeah, individually everybody did.
the master plan was cheap, because who did it? We did.
We did.
Yeah.
The ones who are not paid anything, or,
Well, that's another question, you know, because you had sent me the Webster Township one, and they have a totally different approach
for the organization.
for their
So-
organization. Yeah.
So that's another way, is how do you organize it?
Right.
But then we still need a planner. So we could start talking about those things before we initiate the planning process, is how do we want to do this? What do we need a planner for?
Yeah. Well, we are. So we want to put that on the February agenda to begin that process of identifying. Is that too soon?
It seems like we have other things, and we don't have to do it yet, but I wouldn't wait too long. I'd say in Q2, we should start talking about it.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? Who were there during the last master plan update?
Paul, George,
Who
and
were
I.
present? So 3 people were present.
Yeah. I came in on the end.
You're not a
He
planner?
was on the ZBA, no.
I came in on the end of it.
And I was on the review team. So Andrew Zemansky, the chair, and I were the review team. So we're the ones that actually went into the document. And once that we discussed it with the planning commission, we typed that in. So if it was my section, I did it, and I gave it to Andrea. She was the keeper of all of the changes.
Would it be beneficial for the members who weren't part of the master plan process before to just have a quick refresher? I know MTA offers things you can go and review, but if it would be beneficial, I can do a quick presentation as what is involved in the process. Just so it's a refresher for people who already done it, and it will be a learning process for people who haven't done it. And then while going through that presentation, we can figure out our steps, and then talk about how to proceed with this one. I know you love to listen to me, but
Is it a current presentation? It's not like 2020, like 2014 information.
no, I will be putting that together especially for you guys.
But
It's
there-
not
So you
something,
have the bandwidth to do it.
There's already guidance out
Why
there,
don't we
though.
talk about that tomorrow?
Yeah, there's already guidance out there, so there's a summary document of what's in the Michigan.
Right,
Planning
obviously, I
Zone.
won't recreate the whole thing,
Recently
but
updated it, so
Well, that's
you
my-
don't have
that's
to make
exactly
a new
where my question
presentation.
came from. It's
You don't
been
have to.
updated.
We got something we can
Yeah, we can
use,
do it.
but if you can talk us through it, I'll look for it and I'll
it
send
doesn't
it to you.
take that long.
We got some
I'm
really
very
nice
quick with
TV.
presentation.
Let's get.
That
He's
should,
gonna-
I can make that decision regarding bandwidth, but if I put the slides together, it's easy for me to talk about it. Because
Yeah,
it's not
and I would
my problem.
suggest we just have the introduction, and then at another time, we start talking about what we want to do.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we're gonna get totally bogged down.
Right.
no, what we want to do has to happen when the process is officially started. This is just like what is involved.
Yeah,
I think we're okay on that with
okay, yeah.
the,
I'll find
Well,
the
let's,
document, yeah.
yeah.
We just know you have 10 million things to do.
But I still want to,
Are we off the agenda now?
like Tom said, you're my favorite. I want to make sure I provide you all the information you need that can help out.
We're on to public comment. Does anybody have any public comment at this time?
I'm glad we're getting out here before 11:30. Peter Stevens, 7500, just a couple things. I've been having conversations about solar. lately, and at least as far as modern technology is concerned, 50 megawatts can be produced on anywhere from 150 to 200 acres recently. So that's just something to maybe consider when thinking about land usage in the township. There's also been multi-township agreements where they have solar projects that cross borders but are still contiguous, allowing just for reduced costs in the local area. Second, on the issue of data centers, I would fully support this board putting a moratorium on the idea of data centers in Webster Township. I know moratoriums across the state have been being upheld in court for as long as 12 months from the time they are instituted, so that local communities could have time to look at the local impact on, as you mentioned, water, environment, electricity use, rates for locals, etc. What I have seen townships starting to work on in regards to data centers, and this is something that would probably be right up Shrie's alley, is that they're just making incredibly restrictive special land use permits for large data centers. And even data center companies that have challenged these kinds of restrictions in court have been told that there is no overburden from a local municipality as far as special use permits go, even if they are considered overbearing by the companies. Last, just on another note, I know it's been mentioned a couple times to Mike, I don't know if anybody else has, but the American flag out front has been torn almost in half now for going on 3 weeks. Just as an American, I guess, I find that a little, unfortunately, disrespectful to what that is supposed to represent. I'm happy to go out and change it myself right now if someone has a flag. Otherwise, drive safe, stay warm. Thank you again for tonight.
Appreciate it. Any other information, comments or whatever that any of the team has? Yes, Jay.
I have one information piece. On the Huron Riverside Water Company Board, many of the appointees, like me, are planning commissioners. And the Scioto Township members, who are planning commissioners, thanked the Huron River Watershed Council for doing a green infrastructure workshop with them. And so my proposal is, so speaking, in our master plan, we have a green infrastructure map and green infrastructure planning. So if we think of land uses, putting compatible uses near each other, a green infrastructure map is putting things that might have a big impact in less sensitive areas, right? So before the last master plan, we had someone from the Watershed Council come and talk to us at a planning commission meeting for about a half an hour about our map and how it was put together and what it said. So my suggestion is, at some point, is that we have that kind of little workshop, so we're all familiar before we look at the master plan with what the heck is green infrastructure planning and what is the map. And the Watershed Council can do that with us in a very focused way. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? I'll have one more. You all should be getting your magazines.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good information in them. For example, what can committees or commissions do? That's come up in the board. And then we were talking about land use. There are at least a half a dozen land use ordinances, laws in front of our House of Representatives and Senate up in Lansing. So we usually get updates from them, but